Good morning. Thank you so much for joining me today on my new series where I co-collaborate with some of my favorite small business owners locally. I'm Tara Summer, and my guest today is Kristen Schopieray with Elite Realty. Hi, Kristen. Thanks for sharing your time
Hi,
with us today.
thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. If you could just maybe take a moment and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure, of course. My name is Kristen. I live in the Southeast Michigan area in South Lyon. I've lived in Southeast Michigan for about 30 years now, and it's longer than I'd like to admit, but but I absolutely love it here. I have a family, a husband, two boys, and a dog named Tucker, who's a black lab and just loves everything.
You're so cute.
Um, to keep myself busy, I love just working out and staying active. I hula dance,
You hula
and
dance.
I do.
Awesome. So
You don't
fun.
usually expect that in Michigan, right?
That's awesome.
Love going to sporting events and just taking in all of the amazing things that Michigan has to offer.
That's awesome. Sounds great. Yeah, I mean, actually, we live in the same neighborhood, you and I, as you know, but they don't know. So I get to see you with Tucker and your kids and your hubby walking around. So that's really nice too. Um, so I would like to dig deep and let everybody know about you and what you feel sets you apart from other realtors. I've got a few questions, and if you don't mind, I'd just love your input on them.
Absolutely.
Let's jump right into the questions. The first one I have for you is, what areas in Michigan do you service?
So I am licensed to help anybody in the state of Michigan. However, I do live in Southeast Michigan, so that's the area that I tend to stick closest to because I know it the best.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. Yeah, that's awesome. And how pardon me, are you with the local market and the neighborhood?
Yeah. So one of my favorite things about my job is that I get to drive around and explore on a daily basis. So I'm constantly going to different areas and neighborhoods. One of my favorite things that happened to me is that, there are some Detroit, Michigan staples, right? Some things that just come from Detroit. For example, the Better Made Chip Factory. I know it's here.
I didn't
Never
know that, but yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yes, and had no clue where it was. And one day I'm driving in Detroit and I look over to my left and there it is, just sitting right there. So it's cool to be able to be in the neighborhoods and know them very intimately. So I have an idea of what might be a good fit for my clients. And then on the flip side, when they go to sell, what, the highlights are, the best features of the neighborhood and the community so that we can price things appropriately and get the sale.
Yeah, and that's awesome too for out of state people that are coming in, that you're very familiar with it and you're able to help them with that. So that's wonderful. What do you feel, Kristen, that sets you apart from other realtors in the area?
Oh boy.
A big question.
Right?
What makes you so awesome?
This is always a hard one because just I am who I am. But
Yeah.
what I try to do is just to make it a very personal experience for everybody, my buyers, my sellers, and for myself. And, it makes it a little bit more fun and enjoyable that way. I have now many clients that are now my friends, which is amazing and
Yeah.
very excited about that. But it also allows me, when I'm involved with the whole process, I can listen to my clients and understand what the pinch points are, what their goals are. And I'm really absorbing all of that information so that we can get them to their goal and we can be celebrating at the closing table together,
Hey, so
making
fun.
a fun event of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because it can be a stressful period. So it's really nice to have somebody that can kind of handle all that for them and kind of go through that and alleviate the stress. So that's awesome. So when you do have somebody, that approaches you and says, "Hey, I'm looking to buy a home," but they really just don't know where to start, what do you advise them on?
Yes. So some people can be a little timid to get started. As you said, it can be very overwhelming and sometimes stressful.
Mhm.
But I don't want people to be scared at all because it can be a very fun experience as well. You know that there's a lot that goes into it.
Mhm.
So my first step is to have them reach out to a real estate agent and a lender if they're going to be using a mortgage, just like yourself. Find a great lender and start to have those conversations and discussions about what your goals are, what you're trying to do, and be very open and honest about it all. There's nothing openness and honesty goes a long way, and that will set you up on the right path to get to your goal. So that's really the first step of it all. And then just keeping an open mind and flexibility. Listen to advice. We might need to pivot because the market is one way or another, but just being flexible and, like I said, ripping that Band-Aid off and just getting it started.
Yeah, true, true. It's really good to have a good captain at the helm, so you'll be able to guide them where they need to go. So that's awesome too. Do buyers need to get pre-approved prior to looking for homes?
That's a very great
That's a
question.
good question.
I'm glad you
I
asked
thought
that.
I'd throw that out there.
So it's never too early to start searching. However, when it comes to physically going in and seeing the homes, that is a step that buyers should take. They should get pre-approved prior to walking into a home. And it's done for a few reasons. One, a lot of times the sellers require it because they want to know that the people walking through their home, that they're trusting to walk through their home, are able to purchase it. But also it's to safeguard the buyers, make sure that they are qualified to purchase a home and they're not in a bad situation, that they are looking at a house in a budget that's appropriate for them and what they qualify. And that's to prevent any heartbreak down the road.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, I know you've been in
Yeah.
this experience, but nothing is more heartbreaking than getting under contract and financing falling through, and we just want to prevent that. So that first step of getting the pre-approval is so pivotal. And I tell my buyers all the time, it's like your golden ticket.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once we have your golden ticket from Tara, we are good to go. We are going to go have some fun, and it should be smooth sailing all the way.
Yeah, well, we try to alleviate, like I said before, it's a very stressful time. It's an exciting time, but it's very stressful too. And if we can alleviate some of that hassle and stress by getting that pre-approval and getting all that stuff squared away, then it definitely helps. What do you feel that buyers should be looking for during a showing, like when they go and look at houses?
Yeah, that's another great question. Because and I think that sometimes is very overwhelming to buyers too, especially the first time home buyers that haven't had this experience before. So a lot of times mom and dad or family members will come around with us,
Yeah, sure.
and that's great.
Yeah.
And the biggest things that I have or suggest that my buyers really pay attention to, first and foremost, without a doubt, is location and neighborhood.
Right.
Those are two things that you absolutely cannot change about a house. So if you're not happy with either of those options, the house, you're never going to be truly happy in the house as a full picture. So that is first and foremost, making sure that you're happy with that.
Yeah.
Then next, once we walk into the house, I want you to picture how you would use the space. Is the space and the layout sufficient for your family's needs? We all have different uses for the house. We all have different flows and routines. So I just want to make sure that it will work for that particular set of buyers. Next, does it have enough storage space for all of your personal items? Because sometimes we have lots of toys or
Nope. Nope.
Yep.
Yep.
Dog beds everywhere.
Tools.
Boats,
Stuff.
tools, golf equipment, everything. So you
Yeah.
want to make sure that it has enough space for, again, your personal items and your needs. And then also to just seeing if there are any red flags. And this is where you might lean on your real estate agent. And then if you're under contract, definitely your inspector. But is there any evidence of water intrusion on the ceiling or around the floors? Are you just hit with the smell of mold the moment you walk in? Are there any foundation issues? Things of that nature. So just looking kind of for those red flags that maybe we need to dive deeper on with an inspection once we're under contract.
Yeah. Yeah, those are all very good points. Thank you so much.
Of
And
course.
then my last question to you is, and this is something that we're kind of running into right now, and so it's the I guess we're nearing the end of summer. Boo.
No.
But what do you say to buyers who are afraid of getting into a bidding war? Where there's going to be multiple offers on a home, and they may have to pivot. What are your recommendations?
Sure. So for that, I know it can be scary. And even from the agent perspective, it's not always a fun place to be in, but don't be afraid of it. If it's a house that you absolutely love and you can picture your family in there, and it fits all of your needs, there's absolutely no harm in throwing an offer, in throwing your hat into the ring. Um, what I do as an agent is, once I know we like a house, I'll call the listing agent to try and figure out and gauge how many offers they might have or what the traffic's been like, so I can get an understanding of maybe how competitive we need to be. And I'll communicate that to you. But at the end of the day, I tell all of my buyers, we are submitting an offer that you feel is right for you for this particular house. It's going
Right.
to be different for every house. Circumstances are going to change, but just submit the best offer you feel you can for that house. And don't be scared that there are other people around there too.
Yeah. Well, and I think I'm a firm believer in what's meant to be yours will be yours. And the
Mhm.
right house, if that's not the right one will come along, and you'll understand in the end. You're like, oh, this
That-
that's why that didn't work out, or this or that, either. So that's
yeah,
really good advice. So,
that
well, thanks.
hindsight is worth a lot.
Isn't it though? Isn't it? Isn't it though?
Right.
Uh, if I only had a crystal ball. So, well, thank you so much for taking the time to answer those questions. That was super, super informative. And I just love, knowing you as a person. I love how you just exude this devotion to helping your clients, and how you truly do go out of your way to ensure that they're getting the right home for them. And you really do love what you do, and it shows. So that's
Oh,
awesome.
thank you so much, Tara. I really
And
appreciate
yeah,
that.
absolutely. And then, as you mentioned before, as a mortgage professional, I just wanted to see if any people who will be watching this, who may be potential clients of yours, may how could I be of assistance, and answer any questions that they could potentially have. So, do you have any questions for me?
As a matter of fact, I do.
You do.
Yes, I oftentimes the real estate agent is the first person that someone calls when they're interested in buying, and I get the same questions over and over again. So yeah, having you available to answer some of these questions would be amazing.
Absolutely. I'm all yours.
So one of my first questions is, how to determine what type of loan is right for a buyer?
All right, absolutely. Well, first of all, what I do is I do kind of a preliminary gather all the relevant information, such as their income, and how much down payment funds is available, what they want to put down, if they have enough to cover closing costs, the purchase price of the home, their credit score, location of the home. And the credit score doesn't have to be an absolute set in stone, but I will ask them, what your credit score is? We don't have to check that quite yet.
Sure.
And then also the desired monthly payment. So those are some of the first things that I will go over with the client. It's also really important to find out if the home is going to be a primary residence, or if it's going to be an investment property for them. So this allows me to kind of go in and find which program or programs work best for my client, and then I present the options, and we discuss which one would be best for them, that in my opinion, or what they're most comfortable with.
Very good. Yeah, it's one question that I get a lot, and there are so many factors that go into it, and that you as a loan officer need to take a look at. So that's
There
why
really are.
earlier I mentioned the flexibility and being honest and open, because that will serve you well, especially when it comes to your loan.
Yeah, and if you hide stuff, it usually ends up getting found out anyway, and then it can actually cause a problem. So yeah, I just
Yeah, we don't want that.
no, just be honest, and we can get the right loan for you. And it really is different for everybody. You hear FHA loans are best for her first time home buyers. Well, I had a situation where just about 2 months ago, I had a first time home buyer, and we looked at it side by side, an FHA loan and a conventional loan, and it just so happened that the conventional loan was the better route for them to go. So
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, it
Great.
just really depends upon all the factors. So
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of talking about pre-approval, this question I get all of the time, and I think is one of the biggest concerns that home buyers have and hurdles that they have before they jump into the pre-approval process is, will getting pre-approved damage your credit?
okay, so getting pre-approved does not technically damage your credit. You're applying for a loan. Okay, so your creditors need to know if you're credit worthy before they agree to issue a pre-approval on a, $300,000 whatever home. If you're at Kohl's and they say, hey, save 10% on your purchase today if you apply for a card, you're going to run that to say, sometimes I don't recommend it, but but you're going to have your credit run, and the benefit of that is you're going to save 10%, right, on that purchase for that day. Well, the benefit that you're going to get by applying for a home, or for a home loan, is that you could potentially get a house, right? So of course we're going to have to check your credit, much as the same as at a store would. The difference is that, and this is really important to remember, is when you are shopping for a mortgage, you do have a 14-day time span where your credit can be checked a few times by different mortgage lenders, and it will not affect your credit more than one credit pull. And generally, now, and this varies again, case by case basis, but generally you see like a 2 to 5 point drop in your score after that hard inquiry. If I look at all of the factors and you've got great income, you've got a steady job, and there's nothing too crazy, and your score is at 740 or whatever, and I can do what's called a soft pull. But when we go to actually issue the pre-approval, what the pre-approval does is it means that I have run it through what's called the AUS, or the automated underwriting system. And the big powers that be, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, say, yes, we can work with this loan. So that's the difference, again, between a pre-qualification, which does not do that, and a pre-approval. So a pre-approval you can pretty much take to the bank, which is good to know. So
Yeah.
yeah, and it is really handy also to be able to do that soft pull. Like, let's say you're not quite ready to buy, but you're coming in, you say, I want to buy a house. I know my credit's not great, and you're in a credit repair situation and may not quite be ready to purchase. Then we can do what's called a soft pull, just to kind of look at things and get a general overview so that we can put together a plan.
I love that. And I love when buyers do that, because it gives you time to make adjustments and better the situation. You might be in a really good situation to start off with, but you can take a look at things as a lender and say, you know what, if you do X, Y, and Z, you're going to be even better. And I can get you into this program and really set people up for success.
Absolutely.
So I think that's a really important note.
Yeah. And sometimes they're just a couple points away. Like, let's say they're at a 737 and they need to be at a 740. There's ways that we can make that happen. And there's things that can be done. And I work with some companies that actually can help make that happen easy. So it's really neat to be able to do that. And then in that case, you would be able to save some money on your interest rate. So
yeah. Always love that.
Love it, love it.
Kind of going back to the loan types, are there any special loan types that you specialize in?
Well, C2 Financial that I work with, we are a brokerage, and we have the tools and the resources available to place all types of mortgage loans. I do pride myself on being able to find the perfect loan program for my clients, and I am able to shop over 120 different lenders to find the best one for their specific situation. I do, however, truly love helping first-time home buyers achieve that dream of homeownership. It's just so exciting to be part of that process and to be able to help them achieve that dream. Something else that I really find a lot of joy in is helping our veterans get the VA loan, in order to get that home as well. So it's really a great program, and it really is a benefit to our veterans.
Absolutely. And I love that you called out that you're able to service so many different lenders or shop at that many different lenders. And that's what I really suggest to my buyers is, if you're looking for for a loan officer or a lender, find a mortgage broker, because they can shop around at all the different banks, as opposed to going to Comerica, Flagstar, PNC, which are great, but they can only lend through themselves. And so that limits the programs that are available to you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Very good. So using that to kind of transition, why is it better to work with a local lender?
Well, I'm glad you asked. And I have opinions on this. Local lenders, local lenders are, well connected locally, usually. And they do have relationships with like title companies and realtors such as yourself, which can definitely be helpful. Definitely. But I don't truly feel that it's imperative to stay absolutely local because I'll be honest, a lot of the lenders where we get the money from are kind of all over the United States. I can service, I'm also licensed in Florida. So I can I'm licensed in Michigan and Florida, and I'm adding more states. I can't say what yet, but I'm adding more states. It is important, however, to be aware of the state specific programs that are available in each and every state so that I can serve my clients the best. And I'm constantly reading. Things change all the time. And I like to keep abreast of the ever-changing mortgage industry. And that allows me to be able to write loans in any state that I'm licensed in.
That's what makes you wonderful too.
Try.
Now, we've talked about first-time home buyers, but on the flip side, we have some home buyers that have a home already and want to level up, or maybe they're looking to downsize, and they might feel they need to sell their current home in order to purchase their next one. What solutions do you have if I were to need to sell my current home to purchase a new one?
Absolutely. So we have a program, it's called a bridge loan. And it's a little complex loan, but it's amazing. And it allows you to tap into some of the equity in your existing home and in order to cover the down payment and the closing costs on your new home. Sometimes I've had clients that took out a little bit of money to actually, because they needed to fix up the home that they were selling. So they were able to get a little bit extra. It's an interest only loan. And it's active until your old home sells up to 6 months. If you do need to extend it, you can. It varies, and there is a fee for that, but you can extend it for another 6 months if your home doesn't sell. When your existing home does sell, though, you do pay off the bridge loan, and those payments will stop. So that's really cool. And then your other, you've purchased the home, and those will continue, of course. Please keep in mind, though, that you will have to qualify. You'll need to have enough income to afford the bridge loan payment as well as the new mortgage payment. I had a client that lived in her home for over 40 years, and she wanted to move to a condo to be closer to her daughter and her friends. She was retired and she was on a limited income. And we were able to use a bridge loan to help her get that condo. Because of her debt to income ratio, because with that added payment, though, we did have to have her, we got creative, and we had her daughter co-sign. She agreed to co-sign to be able to help her get past those DTI issues. And we were able to use the income from her daughter to get her qualified. Her daughter did not end up having to make any payments or anything because her house sold quickly. And we got it sold in about a month. And then after 6 months, we refinanced that loan, took her daughter off, and she's super happy in her new place. So
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're so right. Sometimes you do have to be very creative to get it to work, and creativity is not a bad thing. So it's nice that you're able to pivot and take the information you have and find that right path for them. So that's amazing.
Yes, I'm tenacious. I try to find solutions.
Yes.
I stay up very, very, very late. So
that's what coffee's for, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so getting them started with a loan getting started with the pre-approval process, what documents do you typically ask buyers to submit to you?
Well, it really depends upon your employment situation and whether, again, you're purchasing a primary home or a rental property. But to start with everybody, I'll need a picture of your driver's license. So that's across the board to be sure you are who you say you are. And also for employment verification, I will need your W-2 forms for the last 2 years, and also your federal tax returns for the last 2 years. And pay stubs also covering the last 30 days. Now, for our self-employed borrowers, it's a little different. Most mortgage lenders require at least 2 years of steady self-employment income before you can qualify for a home loan. So lenders, just keep in mind that they define a self-employed borrower as someone that has an ownership interest of 25% or more in a business, or someone who is not a W-2 employee. So that kind of gives you a breakdown of what that is. In this case, we will need 2 years of tax returns and a profit and loss statement for the current year. You can get that from your CPA, and we will most likely require some bank statements for the last 30 days as well. And if you are looking to purchase a rental property, we have some fantastic loan options based on the income potential of the home. In which case, the only income information we need is a form that calculates, it's a little bit broader than this, but basically a form that calculates the prospective rental income. We can use 75% of that number to potentially qualify you for the loan. And so all of these are basically a good starting point. And after your income has been verified by the documents and the numbers work, as well as your debt to income ratios, we can issue a pre-approval. And I can usually get one issued within about 24 hours or less, depending upon the situation.
I love that, because sometimes the opportunity, comes when you least expect it. So being able to get that pre-approval very quickly, provided you have all the documents, that makes all the difference in the world, which is.
And I work weekends.
Yes. It's a 24/7 job.
Right? Stop.
Yes.
But
that's what. Yeah, but that's what makes you a rock star. So that's so awesome.
Well, thank you. That's very kind. Rock star or crazy, one or the other, not really sure.
Depends on the day or the hour, right? Awesome. So I know we briefly touched on this before, but why is it better to work with a mortgage broker instead of a bank directly?
I'm so glad you asked. So working with a mortgage broker offers distinct advantages over a bank. We have access, as I mentioned before, to a wide network of lenders, and it allows us to compare multiple loan options and find the best terms for each of our borrowers' unique situation. We act as intermediaries, providing personal guidance and expert advice throughout the entire mortgage process. And unlike banks, we're not limited to our own products. We are able to give borrowers much more flexibility and potential cost savings. Additionally, brokers have expertise in navigating, as I mentioned earlier, complex situations when we can maybe run into some credit challenges, and we can offer a higher level of customer service. With our extensive knowledge and our tailored approach, we're able to provide a very valuable and advantageous alternative to traditional bank lending.
Yeah. And what I love most, and we touched on this just a minute ago, being available 24/7, basically 7 days a week.
Yeah.
It's nice. You have that availability, but also the accessibility. I'm not limited to banker's hours to talk to the loan officer. If an emergency comes up, you are accessible. Or if we just have questions or need to settle some fears, you're there to help with it. It's a very personalized experience, and that's what a lot of people value. And I know I do as a real estate agent. I really enjoy that, and I think it's a better experience for the buyers as well.
Right. And that's basically what it boils down to, is just the experience for our buyers. So
yes. Absolutely. And then my final question, and with experience that, it's a very exciting experience buying a home, and you finally find the one and you get under contract and we do our little happy dance there. How long does it typically take until we're all celebrating together at the closing table?
Okay, well, when it comes to stuff like that, and I talk about timelines and figures, I like to set expectations. The timeline for closing on a mortgage can truly vary depending upon lots of different factors. But on average, it takes around 30 days, sometimes 45 days if it gets real complex, to close on a mortgage from the time of application. So that time frame can be influenced by factors such as the complexity of the loan, appraisal, how long that takes. We have to order the appraisal, then it has to be done, then they have to get the appraisal returned. Sometimes there's repairs that need to be done for the appraisal or after the appraisal has been completed. And then there's also inspection processes, documentation verification, coordinating among various parties involved. So there's a lot of moving parts. But again, we spin plates and we get it all going. But that's why it's really important to work with an experienced mortgage professional that where we can efficiently navigate the process, and realtor as well, and communicate with all the people that are involved. And that really does help to streamline the closing timeline. I think I had a loan that closed, my fastest was 14 days. So,
Wow.
and that was not a cash buy. So, as long as everything goes smoothly, and I like to gather as much as I can up front to help to cut that timeline down as well. So super important to have clear communication, prompt submission of the documents when I ask for them, and also when we give them to the lender, and also proactively addressing potential issues that can expedite the process and ensure a timely closing on your home.
Yeah. And I think you hit on a good point, that having that clear communication and expectations. Yep. And that's why I like working with you and other lenders that are, this is the best way I can describe it, is that, we're tag team, right? So, yep. In the beginning, I'm driving, right? We're getting the offer, looking at homes, submitting offers, and we get it accepted. And then I tag you in, and now you're driving and I'm in the back seat. I'm the backseat driver, making sure everything's going down the right path. But you
see you in the backseat. I think maybe more passenger side.
Okay. I can grab the handle up here.
Might have to at times. Hold on, we got this. Yeah.
But then, it's just that constant communication and trust that we have, when we know that we have that relationship built in, and rock stars like you. And I'm sorry to be overusing that term, but it really does make a huge difference, and your clients are very lucky to have you.
Oh, you're very sweet. Well, you too.
Well, you too.
I'm really glad I could share with you, and thank you so much for giving us some of your insights and telling us a little bit about you. And I'm really hoping that our viewers really enjoyed watching this. I will be linking all of your contact information below for anyone who would like to purchase a home with Kristen. Thank you so much for all your help and input. So I will see you in the field, my friend.
Yes. Either that or the neighborhood sidewalks.
Right. Exactly. All right, Tara.
Thank you so much, Tara.
You are so welcome. We'll talk soon.
All right. Sounds good.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.